If you're trying to make a vegan cake that's tall and fluffy and has a beautiful crumble, but without using any eggs or dairy, you need to keep watching because I'm about to tell you how you can get a delicious and fluffy cake completely vegan. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 1, why so many vegan cakes are flat and dense and just bad. They're just bad. 2, the best egg replacers to make sure that your vegan cake comes out tall and fluffy. And 3, I'm going to point you towards some recipes for nice, tall, and fluffy cakes. And this is professional advice, by the way. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Natalia Lima, founder and owner of Curious Cat Bakery, an all-vegan, award-winning bakery where I make everything taste just like or better than the real deal. So yeah, dense, flat, and bad cake is a no-no around here. But I've had my share of bad vegan cake. You might have had some too. So here are some of the reasons why vegan cakes and your cake might be coming out flat and dense. Number 1, your rising agent just might not be working. So when people veganize their recipes, they often think about replacing the milk or the eggs, the butter, but they don't think that they might actually have to change the amount of baking soda or baking powder in that recipe. Maybe with the changes you've made, there's just not enough of a rising agent to make your cake big. Another very common mistake is that you're so caught up in trying to replace all of these other ingredients that you forget to add the baking soda or baking powder. Listen, there's no judgment. We've all been there, but you just have to be really careful when you're following that recipe and make sure you actually put those in. The other reason is that maybe your baking soda or baking powder has gone bad. You have to make sure, even sometimes when the expiration date is still valid, they might have gone flat. Here's how you test before you add to the recipe. Your baking powder reacts to elements like water, so you want to put just some warm water into a glass. Put about half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of baking powder in there, see if it reacts and it creates bubbles. Now for baking soda reacts to acidic elements, so just put a little bit of vinegar in a cup, add half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of baking soda and see if you get a reaction. If you get bubbles, you're good to go. You can add them to your recipe. If nothing happens, then I'm sorry to break it to you, but you're gonna have to go to the store and get some more. Second reason why vegan cakes might come out flat or dense is because of over mixing the batter. Sometimes mixing the batter for a vegan cake can look a little different than a regular cake. So people tend to overdo the work to make sure all the ingredients are incorporated, and that creates too much gluten and then your cake comes out flat. So what you want to do is always mix your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients separately. That way you can make sure with a whisk that you fully incorporate all of those wet ingredients, and then when you pour into the dry, all you have to do is just fold. There's no over mixing and you still get a tall cake. And by the way, not over mixing your batter and losing those air bubbles when you're baking is one of my top 10 rules for beginner vegan bakers. I have a whole list of 10 of those tips if you like to get them. They're completely free. You can get them in the description below. Now let's talk about the good stuff. There's a lot of really bad replacing going on out there, which messes with the chemistry of your cake and makes your vegan cake come out flat and dense. A common culprit, maple syrup. It is a heavy ingredient. It's dense. Therefore, when you add it to the batter, of course it's going to have some trouble rising. I go into more detail on this in this video over here about how to get moist cakes. I'll put the link in the description below. Using vegan condensed milk instead of something lighter like almond or oat milk could also have that same kind of reaction. But most often than not, the trouble is with the egg replacers. So let's talk about that. I have a whole lot of videos here on the channel about how to replace eggs in a cake recipe. You can get a lot more information on this video over here. I'll put the link in the description below. But the short of it, or the Cliff's Notes version, if you will, is that not all egg replacers are built the same. You're gonna need different egg replacers for different cakes for different recipes. Most often than not, people are just Googling best egg replacers for a vegan cake and just using whatever they find online. Really bad idea, because some of the most commonly suggested egg replacers like bananas, flax eggs, avocados, applesauce, none of those are gonna get you a tall fluffy cake. So what egg replacers will? The key here is that you need something acidic that's going to react with the baking soda and create those bubbles that's going to give you a nice tall fluffy cake. That's why my fail-safe is always 1/4 cup of vinegar to about 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Now keep in mind, these are the measurements that work for my cake recipe that I have here on the channel. It's for a 2-layer cake and it works wonders. But you might have to change those ratios depending on how much flour and sugar and other ingredients you have in your own recipe. Another option that I use frequently is non-dairy buttermilk, and that's essentially just an acidic version of non-dairy milk. You just grab some almond milk or whatever non-dairy milk you're using, add some lemon juice so that it curdles, and that will react with the baking soda, creating those bubbles and giving you that cake height. So keep that in mind if you're veganizing your recipes, but as I've mentioned several times here on the channel, I always suggest people start with an already vegan recipe if they're new to vegan baking. I have plenty here on the channel that you can use, from a Biscoff cake, that's my personal favorite, to its chocolate version, these cupcakes that you can just leave the alcohol out if you don't want to, and then I have a lemon loaf cake and a vlog. I even veganized a box cake with just one replacer, so you can check those out. I'll put the link in the description below. If you like this video, please give it a like. It will show YouTube that there's some useful information in here, and it will show it to more bakers in the algorithm. Now, if you're new to vegan baking, don't forget I have that list of top 10 tips for beginner vegan bakers. You can download it for free in the description below. And make sure you subscribe, because I'm here every week with new tips, hacks, and recipes. Now, you might want to check out this video over here where I break down how you can get your cakes to be moist as well as tall and fluffy. And I will see you guys here next week with a new one. Until then, stay curious.